Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of our show. This is Mike Saunders with Marketing Huddle. Today we have with us Matt Remuzzi with CapForge. Welcome to the program, Matt.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Hey, you're welcome. And let's get started with telling us a little bit about yourself and your business and what got you started down the path to entrepreneurialism.
Sure. So I've been an entrepreneur for about 16 years now, so kind of a long journey, and I've done a lot of different things in that time. It kicked off kind of being, I was a restaurant manager right out of college, and I really didn't like that. I just didn't know what else to do. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I really had no idea how to get started. So the best proxy I could think of for getting close to it was I went back to school and got an MBA, where at San Diego State, where they actually have an entrepreneurship program. And as a result, I learned a lot about business that I didn't know before, but even more important, I made good contacts, and I interacted. I did an internship where I worked with some entrepreneurs, helping them with their business. So it just gave me a lot of exposure, and I think it pushed me over the hump to the idea that I could really do this myself. So not too long after I got out of the MBA program, I started working as a consultant, helping people write business plans, which I'd done at my internship and I'd done in my coursework, and so I felt pretty comfortable with. But I pretty quickly learned that trading time for money, which is basically what consulting was, wasn't really the path I wanted to go down. So I spent some time developing a program that would allow people to write their own business plans, and I packaged that and sold it online as a product. And that took off really well. It was the early days of SEO, and I learned just enough to get some good traffic, and it was the early days of AdWords, and I could buy traffic that way very cheaply, and as a result, I started making a good chunk of money, and it felt like pretty much passive income, because since the product had already been created, I didn't have to do a whole lot to maintain it. Unfortunately, what happened was I got complacent, and I was having such a good time traveling the world. I took all kinds of trips. I went scuba diving in the Galapagos. I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. I did all kinds of things because basically the business was, the dream business where you can work from anywhere with just a laptop, and, money comes in while you're sleeping. And it was a fantastic, setup for a single guy. But like I said, I got so enamored of traveling around and having fun that I didn't maintain that business as well as I could. And competition came in, and search engine rankings, fell down. And so I came to the realization I had to do something else to shore up that income. And as a result of my previous restaurant experience, I bought this catering business, which had a good brand but very poor operations. And I spent basically 3 years turning that around. I doubled the sales, I tripled the net, and I made it more or less a passive income business again, where I had a general manager who ran things for me. So that was another great, so I kind of had this big rise and then fell down, and then I picked myself up again with a different business where I was trying to again create a passive business. The problem with that one was the manager fairly abruptly quit. And I hadn't built a team. I had really kind of built all my reliance in on one person. And she, although she was great when she was there, didn't really leave behind any systems or any processes that somebody else could step into. So that was rise and fall number 2. And then, So I learned my lessons from those. And now in building CapForge, which our emphasis is small business bookkeeping, which is something else, another niche that I found where there was a lot of demand and very poor competition, a low level of competition, in that most of the people, when you talk to them about their bookkeepers, aren't very happy with them. They're settling for what they're getting, but they're not in love with what they're getting, and there's a number of reasons for that. So this was an area that I came across where I thought, this is something else I can do. I had a lot of accounting in my MBA program. I took a lot of extra classes to kind of shore myself up on what was required, and started out. And this time I started out explicitly with the idea that, one, I was going to build a business that was full of processes and procedures that wouldn't be dependent on any one person. and two, that it was going to be able to continue to grow whether I was at the helm full-time or part-time or occasionally absent, which was unlike my first business and unlike my second business. So it's a culmination of everything I've learned over the last 16 years of how to do a business right, how to build it so it can grow, even without the owner's input. Because I never cared about having my name on the door or on the building. I always cared about, as after my first taste of kind of passive income, that's always where I sort of wanted to get back to. But I've learned the lessons about how I screwed that up the first couple of times. And so now the emphasis is on building a great business, not only that, does a great job for our customers, but also that runs internally like a clock without constant supervision from me and without, even if I got hit by a car tomorrow, things could still carry on, which is, to me, the pinnacle of where you want to be with a business.
Yeah, I mean, boy, that's quite 30,000-foot view overview of success through the lens of failure. But one thing that you said, and I'm sure living in San Diego, let's draw in a military, application, is there's a really good book that I love. It's called Flawless Execution, and it's written by a group of business consultants that were fighter jet pilots. And what the point I'm remembering from that book is you do pre-flight check, you do in-flight check, and then you do post-flight or mission check. So what you described with a couple of those ventures was, you know what? Oops, I didn't do the post-flight check and things dwindled. Or, hey, while doing the post-flight check of the past projects, I learned X, Y, and Z, and now I'm not going to do things the same way in this current venture. And I want to teach other of my clients to do the same thing and avoid mistakes. So it's kind of like the Michael Gerber comment in the E-Myth, taking time to work on your business, not in your business.
Definitely. I think, I'm a big believer in that. And it was something I'd heard, for years and years, but I never really internalized it to say, okay, now how does this really apply to my business? And what am I doing okay, and which parts am I missing that I still need to work on? I give myself a pass on the first business because I was a young guy and I was making, 5 times more money than I'd ever made in my life every month. And, that was an exciting prospect. And so I definitely took my eye off the ball. The second time around with the catering business, I was more focused, but I was so focused on trying to get back to that point of having a hands-off business that I think I took the leap too soon. Had I spent a few more years really building that up, that might have gone better than it did. Instead, when the manager quit, I took over just long enough to sell it to somebody else who then took it on as it became their full-time project. But I've definitely, post-flighted my my entrepreneurial track record and said, okay, here's the things that I didn't do right or could have done better, and I'm going to bake all of that in from day one for my business. And even when I started the CapForge bookkeeping, in the spare bedroom by myself doing 100% of everything, my day one vision was to have a huge business that could meet all the goals that I had for it. I never planned to start off and just take a couple of jobs here and there and just make a living. The plan was always to be a big, successful business, but with all the right pieces built in from day one.
So here's a question. You've got the experience of really going deep with teaching people how to build a business plan. So what I would ask, what's one critical piece that people need to keep in mind when building their business plan? And then the follow-up to that question is, now working with people, business owners as clients, and seeing things from the granular bookkeeping end of things, I'm sure you can look at their business through the lens of, here's what I know about business plans, here's what I know about my failures. Are you able to bring that in and kind of give extra value to your clients rather than just, here's your books, have a nice day, see you next time?
Right. So answering that question backwards, first, yes, all of our clients, one of the things that we try and offer is that added value. So I will always take the time when I talk to a new client or potential client first I don't jump in with, let's talk about your general ledger and let's look at your balance sheet. I always talk about, what's your business about, and what are your goals? Where are you trying to get it? Where have you come from, and where are you trying to get it to? And help me understand what you're trying to do with it, and then I can offer some advice and some insight on either similar clients, similar industries where I've seen some best practices that you may not be using that you might want to think about, or just general business practices that if you said your goal is to grow or double the business in 2 years or whatever it is, here's some of what I would suggest that you might want to think about. So we try and add value overall, much beyond, much more beyond just, here's a P&L, good luck with. In terms of the first part of your question, the business plan, the number one thing that I see that people wouldn't do right is they would sit down and come up with an idea, and to them it sounded amazing, but they wouldn't go out and find out if anyone else thought it was amazing. So they wouldn't go talk to the customers and find out if that was something that the customer really wanted, or if that was something the customer would be willing to pay that much for, or if what they thought was the unique factor made any difference to the customer. So, like just in circling back to kind of bookkeeping, a lot of the bookkeepers that we compete with, they'll go and pitch the client and say, hey, I've got 20 years of experience doing that. You should hire me because I have 20 years of experience. Turns out that's not really what most clients care about. What they want to know is, can you solve their problem? If you've only had a year of experience, but you can solve my problem, I'm much more interested in that than you telling me how great you are, or what credentials you have, or how long you've been doing this. So same thing with business plans. It's not what you think is important. It's whether or not the market thinks it's important. That's what you need to be testing and asking about.
Yeah, that's a huge, huge point. And, you watch the shows like Marcus Lemonis and The Profit and Shark Tank, and you see that come up over and over. And, they'll take out their, whatever food item as an example, and they'll go to the farmer's market. And a recent show of The Profit, I saw that they said, okay, pink little beads and blue beads, and taste this, and give blue if you like it, pink if you don't, or whatever the case is. And then at the end they could see, wow, the blues won because all the beads were in there. And the downfall of asking people's opinion is you tend to go to the people you know what their opinion is going to be, and you just want that warm and fuzzy, oh, we love it, it'll do great. But in reality, let's get down to people that can say no and not care about hurting your feelings.
Exactly. Those are going to be your customers. It's unlikely you're going to build a business out of just selling to your close friends and relatives, right? You got to expand beyond that, and those are the people who are going to vote with their pocketbooks whether or not they're interested in what you're offering at the price you're asking. So that's what you have to test before you bet your whole business on it. And I think one of the reasons people don't get that right is there's also a lot of common wisdom and quotes out there that says, well, if you have a problem and you built something to solve your own problem, chances are there's other people that also have that problem, and so you probably have a business. Sometimes that's true, and if you actually sit down and engineer a solution to a legitimate problem, you may find some other people with that exact problem. But when people get it wrong is when they sit down and try and brainstorm ideas. They haven't really built a solution, and they haven't really tested it. That's much less likely that you may be onto something generally, but it's unlikely you're going to get it right on your first try. So you have to be open to the idea that you may have to iterate, pivot a little bit, change things up, and what you thought maybe was the biggest feature may turn out to be just a side note to what customers really want and that you have to build in.
Well, and also you mentioned, I think you used the word legitimate problem, because someone could come up with a solution to the problem of underwater basket weaving. And, I've got the solution to that, yahoo, but who cares because no one else wants it or has that same problem. So you've got to have a legitimate, solid solution to a problem that is widespread, that the mass market would need. And again, hearkening, I think that so many business owners should watch Shark Tank over and over and over again, because so many times you hear them saying, listen, how big is that market? I don't care about this really narrow niche. We understand you get rich in the niche depending on the kind of service you offer, but boy, you've got to have that viable solution to a problem, and it's got to be very widespread. I would suspect for you, when you're talking to potential clients, you can even bring in part of your story, which is, let me tell you something, you should choose me because I have made mistakes and I have failed, and let me tell you why that's important, because I have learned from them, and here's where I can bring value to you. So I think, have you seen in your dealings with clients, have you seen that kind of come through in some of your advice where you're able to say, been there, done that, and here's how you can avoid it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I see stuff all the time that people are doing, where I can say, hey, I've tried that or something very similar, and here's the experience I had, and here's how I was able to either make it work or what I had to change or what I did instead. And I think I relate very well to a lot of the clients that we talk to, because I always tell them, hey, listen, I'm a small business owner just like you. I don't think of me as an accountant, right? We provide accounting services, but I'm really just a small business owner and an entrepreneur. That's my mindset, because a lot of the times when you talk to other people who do accounting or even CPAs or other bookkeepers, their mentality is accounting. They have a very narrow window of things that they look at. So I relate to clients on the level of being a small business owner and sharing the similar kind of challenges that they have, managing staff and when to hire and how to grow the business and all those kind of things. So I'm relating to them on the level of being a business owner versus just looking at them as a service provider with a very narrow window focus on strictly their accounting problem. So that really helps.
And I've heard it said many times when you're talking to a prospect to approach them on their level, meaning if you were going to go meet with a farmer, maybe you don't wear your three-piece suit. If you were going to go meet with someone on Wall Street, you're not going to wear your shorts and flip-flops, unless that is part of your brand. Well, I think that's a really important piece of thinking that way when you're saying, I'm just like you. I'm a small business owner. I don't have 300 employees, and you're just another number. I'm going to, treat you with that really good personal contact. So I think that's a really big feature that you mentioned. So you mentioned something earlier, and I'd like to close with this question and then give people a chance to learn more about you and get some contact info. But why do people hate their bookkeeper?
Well, because it's a task that doesn't add any value to, that they can readily grasp, right? If I go out and make a sale, I'm going to see money come in, product goes out, it makes a tangible difference to the business. And there's other admin tasks that you have to take care of, because if you don't, you have to take care of payroll, because otherwise your employees will revolt, right? But bookkeeping is one of those things that people don't really know how to do it. So that's always a cause of stress. If you're asked to sit down and take a test that you haven't studied for, that's stressful, right? And then even after they've done it all, they're hard-pressed to really understand what they've accomplished, especially if they're not well-versed in what a profit and loss statement is trying to tell them or a balance sheet is trying to tell them. So they don't see a ton of value in it. Between those two things, they tend to put it off. And then after you put it off 3 or 4 months, now it really looks like an insurmountable task. So one of the things I hear so often when we sign up a client is, wow, I'm so glad that you guys are taking over this. This is a huge load off my mind. Now I can rest easy that this is going to be done right by somebody who knows what they're doing. I don't have to worry about it anymore. So I always say, we're really kind of in the peace of mind business. We do bookkeeping, but what we're giving you is the peace of mind that this thing isn't hanging over your head anymore, which is how a lot of small business owners feel about it. And it's a great feeling to be able to say, hey, we'll take care of this. And we'll explain it to you so you get useful information out of it. And now you don't have to worry about it anymore. And you can see them. They literally have a sigh of relief. Oh, gosh, thanks. I'm so glad this is going to get done now. So yeah, it's a good feeling to be in.
Yeah, it really gets down to associations. Do you ever have a meal that you just kind of go, nah, I don't really like that, and you think about it and go, well, that's because the last time I ate it, or when I was a kid, or a few years ago, I got sick after eating that meal, and I just always associate, whatever that is with not feeling great. And the same thing goes with music. I mean, have you ever listened to an album and it's like, oh, that the first time I heard that was on vacation 10 years ago. So how can a bookkeeper or any profession associate good things with with their clients and prospects. And I would submit to you that someone could write a research paper on if you did specific things when you first met with the prospect and then when they became a client, and then each interaction, all of a sudden now you can retain them longer because they're associating good things with you and not, well, you did this wrong, you put that on the wrong point, or you didn't bring receipts in right, or, so always pointing out the good, I think, would go a long way.
Oh, definitely. And just making them comfortable. I think a big part of the stress is really just not understanding that, what they're getting. But a lot of times once we've gotten clients caught up and everything is right, then taking the extra 10 minutes to sit down with them and go, okay, let's look at your P&L. Let's see what it's really telling you. And they go, oh, okay, and I see where the sales are up, and then I tried that advertising, and so my profit went down, and that didn't really boost. And then they get into it. It's like somebody who's never really gone to the gym. You don't want to give them a 200-pound weight to lift. You want to start them slowly, tell them what's going, and they can see the progress. Oh yeah, I feel better. I can lift a little more each day. I feel a little better each day. They're seeing the results and they're seeing the value now. To go to the gym. So our clients, now they're excited to get their P&L every month and see what's going on and how did we do and, what was the effect on this? And do you think I can afford to hire that next employee yet? Now they're excited because it's not a stress point anymore. It's a positive, and they're using the information to their benefit instead of just dreading having to do it at all. Love it.
So how can people get in touch with you and learn more about your business? What's your website and the best way they can reach you?
Sure. So our website is CapForge.com, and I actually have put together a special page for your listeners. If they go to CapForge.com/marketing huddle, we've got some special offers on there. We'll do a month of bookkeeping free. We'll buy your QuickBooks online for you, and we'll just, do a free consultation or review of anybody who's got bookkeeping questions or is looking to set something up or isn't sure that the numbers they've got are totally right. So CapForge.com/marketing huddle. Check that out. It's a, special for your listeners offer. And aside from that, just CapForge.com. It's got our phone number, which is a great way to reach me, or email. I'm also on LinkedIn and Twitter and all the usual places, always under CapForge. So I should be pretty easy to find, and I'd be happy to talk to anybody who's got questions or might need some help.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was really fun learning from you, and wish you all the best.
Thanks. Thanks so much for having me. I had a good time.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.